People wonder, though, Mr. Secretary General, what exactly is the nature of this bilateral relations now, Russia and China, particularly current stage?
Well, China and Russia, they are very close neighbors, and also they're major emerging market economies in the world. They make, I think, their own contributions with world growth, and also in their own ways, they promote the peace, stability, and also the development with their bilateral ties with other countries in the world. Mm-hmm. There are many ways that both countries can work together to make contributions to peace, stability. Both countries, they are the permanent members of the Security Council, so they worked very hard to safeguard the role and authority of the UN, and also to uphold the UN Charter.
Are you talking about Syria? Are you talking about DPRK? Are you talking about what exactly are you referring to?
On these, hotspot issues, both countries work very closely with each other, and to give solutions, to make contribution to the solutions of regional and international hotspot issues, as the issues you mentioned, Syria, and also DPRK nuclear issue.
You serve in the UN as the ambassador to the UN for quite some time. What is your working relationship with the Russian ambassador to the UN? How is that consultation going on between the two of you?
We have very close consultation with our Russian colleagues and also with other countries, members of Security Council, and so there's regular consultations, and UN is a very, very special forum.
Yes.
And it's not just a talk shop. So sometimes you have to come up with some idea to maybe to develop a Security Council resolution. So there must be very close consultations among all the members of the Security Council. But it's extremely important that China and Russia, be together. And we look at that things from different perspectives, but with one goal, that is to provide a good solution to address the international issues, to promote peace, stability in the world. And China and Russia also are major players, and also the members of G20, BRICS, and also APEC. And strongly, vigorously, both countries advocate the free trade, open economy, and believe in that multilateral trading system. So we believe that both countries, by working together, we can make contribution to world peace, stability, and common development.
Russia has this Eurasian economic community. China originally proposed the idea of Belt and Road Initiative. It is supposed to be a global connectivity. So what about the link between the two? And some say there are some difficulties implementing the idea into real projects on the ground. What is your thought, Mr. Secretary General?
Well, let's talk about the challenges.
Okay.
And what may the challenges be? In my view, the growing protectionism and unilateralism, they are endangering the world economic recovery, and undermining multilateral trading system with WTO at its core, impose a threat to the world, to the countries in the world. So I think China, Russia, as a major economies in the world, should work together.
I see.
To safeguard the multilateral trading regime, and also uphold the open economy and fight protectionism.
You think they're going to do it? I mean, Mr. Secretary General, as I said earlier, state visit by Russian president to China likely, and then SCO Summit, Chinese president going to interact with the Russian president, of course, during that occasion. Are they likely to focus on what you have just talked about, to be able to safeguard multilateralism as China and Russia work together, Mr. Secretary General?
Yes, I think that's always, on the agenda of the meetings between the two leaders, between President Putin and also President Xi Jinping, because both countries, have a worldwide vision.
Yes.
And every country, small or big in the world, has a role to play on the international stage. And major countries should take responsibility, make more contribution to the peace, stability, security, development in the world. China, Russia, the two countries are on that track. So I'm very confident in the relationship between the two countries. I think this relationship can benefit the peace, stability, and also the development in the world.
Now, Mr. Secretary General, as you may know, China is in full gear preparing for the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Qingdao early June. I mean, now I understand you're working as the Secretary General of the Global Forum for Asia, but still, as a seasoned diplomat, as someone who has devoted decades of your time on multilateral platforms, what do you think could be some of the key for success when it comes to this SCO Summit?
I think that good world governance, economy, and counter-terrorism, these important international issues will be on the agenda. And I think just now we talk about how people they look at the world situation. So the good governance for the globe is very, very important. So that the pillar rule of law is the pillar of globalization, is global governance, good governance. How people think about the governance, how effective that the global governance can be. So this is the question must be answered. There must be solutions. So we got to to bring people together and make sure that we have good understanding what is the rule of law for the international order, and how can we come up with ideas to strengthen the good governance of the world. So this is something I think we expect answers from Qingdao.
What is this nature of partnership between China and Russia? Probably you could help us to understand better. I mean, if you see China and the United States is having a trade dispute, even though some people could even use the exaggerated term trade war, you also see United States and Russia not necessarily on a great term. There are still sanctions unilaterally coming from one country to one another. So what exactly is the nature of relationship between China and Russia today? Is that sustainable?
Well, I think there are many levels. First of all, we have great relation between our leadership,
yes.
And this is based, I believe, on respect. And respect is very important because, when we look at a situation, we don't try to go and punish somebody. We go and try to understand what are the issues, how we can solve it, what is the way to address it, etc. And we believe it's by far better approach. If U.S. feels it's so strong, it can go and punish people left and right, frankly, it's not very sustainable. I believe what's very good about Russia-China relationship, it's based on mutual respect, it's based on dialogue, it's based on, if you don't agree on something, let's discuss why and find a compromise, and that's the way for the future.
One of the most important questions I need to ask you is about the upcoming presidential visit of Russia to China, and later follow up by the summit of the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. I understand you are accompanying your president to China. What is going to be the mission for this time? Because the two leaders China and Russia meet pretty often, one could see. What is going to be the mission this time, particularly at a time when so much uncertainty around us?
Yeah, well, of course, there are geopolitical issues and political issues, because there are lots of conflicts in the world, including the Korean issue, the Iran issue, and I think there will be a dialogue on geopolitics, which is very important for stability. But there's definitely going to be a very strong dialogue on trade and investments.
Yes.
And investments is a big part. We have Russia-China Fund has been investing quite a bit, and we need more successful Russian-China projects. And we are building the first bridge between Russia and China, but literally maybe we have, 30 projects right now that are going on Russia-China. We need to have 300. And I think the really big important question is how do you scale up the investment engagement? How do we actually get China to be much more of a invest in Russian infrastructure and other things like that?
How? What is the solution, you think?
Well, I think the solution is having success stories like we have with Russia-China Fund. I think it's having institutions such as RDIF to be a good local partner, and it's the macroeconomic stability that Russia provides and really understanding of that by Chinese investors.
Shanghai Cooperation Organization, that's also where the president's going to do and also going to go for the summit. That also has a lot to do with trade and economic ties these days, beyond what used to be only security issues. So if I could ask you about the potential of that platform for Russia, what would you say?
I think it's very important. And it's based on dialogue, it's based on inclusivity, it's based on working with different countries in the region.
Yes.
So I think that dialogue in importance has been growing. Lots of One Belt, One Road initiatives are also being discussed, and that's
and Eurasian Economic
Union integration. So it's a very good platform to discuss economic inclusivity in the region.
You think the president will have a lot of proposals for his Chinese counterpart?
Well, I think it's about Eurasia Union with One Belt, One Road initiatives. There will be a number of proposals.
Mr. President, you see the key members of the New Development Bank are also becoming key members of many of the regional and international platforms. Shanghai Cooperation Organization, for example, which is likely to hold their annual summit very soon in early June. How do you see the three countries, China, Russia, and India, who are now members of SCO, going to interact on so many different kinds of forums and platforms vis-a-vis that of the New Development Bank?
Yeah, see, as of now, our platform is slightly different. But I take the point that you're making, and as far as we are concerned, what we need to do is understand, what our leadership wants in the context of the SCO. I think that process is going on. We have not yet understood this. And once we understand that, we will then take the next steps that might be required in our context. But frankly, I think we are in a learning stage on that to understand from our leaders. As you said, three countries are involved there.
Yes.
And what is the relationship that is evolving.
Yeah, and New Development Bank, by the way, Mr. President, is dealing with the infrastructure building funding and many of the other development projects. But you see regional organizations like ICO or some of the others also taking on new roles. Not just about security anymore, not just about anti-terrorism anymore, but economic and trade links as well, financial included. So probably you're going to have more competitors?
Yeah, not really. In a sense, my experience has been that things happen very quickly in certain areas. So when funding is in place, things happen. When funding is not in place, it's very difficult. Now, again, I would think that even within the BRICS, NDB could move forward because there was a clear funding agenda, and they would.
Exactly.
But the rest of it requires much more hard work. They are doing that, and I'm sure they will see the fruits as we go by. So in the other groupings, other than free trade, where things move fast in certain contexts, but again that is being revisited in a different context. The rest of the places, I think it takes a little time to develop. So in any case, our objective is to, in anything that happens, to be a catalyst. So I would try to drive NDB to a role where even if there is activity that happens at other ends, how can we be a catalyst in that activity? Because it is for the common good.